All right, I have been editing the text here for quite some time, and what I've got now is uh, the formats I hope are pretty much in order. I've already read them a few times, but since I'm spending a lot of hours on this, I thought I might as well just stream quite a bit here and see how much I can get done. And that's what I'm going to be doing for the next couple days. And I can see that I've got to do this on the camera. Okay, I guess I didn't set that all up. But what I've done is I've got the Bible and I've found the first writer's formats. And these are those formats. Okay, I guess. Let me put a cover over me, I think, for a little bit here. Let me show you the 12 commandments and then try to adjust. Oh, it's going to go into full view anyway. I guess I'm just going to leave my camera the way it is. I'm not that important anyway. The text is more important than I am. If you have a question, put it in the comment section, and if you see this after I'm done, still put a comment, and I will explain what I'm doing. Right now, these are a 3-verse format, which means that this first verse has got a period on it, meaning that this is a statement. And then I have a comma and a period, and they connect like a sentence to become the describing the statement. This is a 3-verse format. Okay. And then when I find another like 3-verse format, I put them together like they are a large paragraph. These are what's known as psalms, or this one, top one, it would be a single psalm, and together they are psalms. So write in psalms if you've heard that or read that in your Bible. And if you read, I think oh boy, I can't remember right now, Jeremiah? Yeah, it has to be Jeremiah. When they took the text that Jeremiah had his scribe write again, another scribe went and took that writing to the king, and he read 3 or 4 columns. So what you see is the text written in columns now. So these are what I truly believe as the first writer's formats, and they are cleaned up. I have many videos up on my YouTube site, probably over 300, and I do have to clean them up. Maybe it's probably close to 400 of telling you how I got each of these, and I recorded it for history on purpose and did it live to get my reaction as well when I was going through the text. So now that I've got everything combined, lawnmower's going by, so didn't want to pick it up in the mic. Okay, I think he's done enough to where I can talk now. As you see, the text is being told to Abraham at this time, yet this will be later for a priest. But what I'm doing is, this is going to be a statute, so I got to get rid of this. And I'm noting these as laws or statutes. And then these were my notes earlier, but this way they'll be left in the book as far as quick references. I will be putting images in, and I'll probably be streaming those online. I have many maps. For example, this map here, because the text that I just went through, Abraham didn't live there. He lived closer to here, and Lot has moved over here. So what I'm thinking is that they, somewhere in here or here, that they were together in this valley, and it wasn't enough for their herdsmen were arguing over where to be able to graze their flocks. Now, what a lot of people don't know is a goat will just eat like a lawnmower and trim it, the grass or whatever. But a ram will actually grab it and pull the roots out. So you can see the problem if you've got 300 rams and they're eating up, that takes quite a while for the grass to grow again. So I'm sure these were hay fields that they were growing wild, that they probably started with. So, but the thing here is the mileage for something like this. I've got over here, this is miles in black, kilometers here, so people can see that if we're talking 10 miles or 10 kilometers, you can see, whoops, that this area is within a few miles or 5 miles. So I haven't decided exactly where to locate this, but these maps I'll be making and I'll be changing, because here Abram has to be living in this area because he has to be able to see the smoke from Sodom. The thing here is he's also has to be living in Canaan's land. The description of Sodom seems to be in Japheth's land and not Canaan's land. Okay, so all these are descendants of Noah. So that's a little bit of what I'm doing here. And now it's starting to bother me that I'm not in the camera. Okay, let me see. I'm going to probably show more than what I should, but I'm not really centered here, but I can fix that later. Now, sometimes my glasses will just go white on you because the way, if I put them on like this, see what happens. So if they slide down, sorry about that. I'm aware of that, so I just want to let you know that there is a few problems when you stream and the lighting, especially when you've got glasses. All right. And these notes, Well, as I'm editing, right now I'm putting in titles. So I'll be scrolling up and down. So those that have, I know there's a sickness if I move the screen too rapidly on you. Sorry, I'll be doing that. So it's just that I used the scroll button for 25 years, or probably 30 years now, instead of the up and down key. So, okay, this text looks good, doesn't need any more editing. Now, as you can see, I've got a group missing. I used to put the 3 lines there. I've decided to, at this stage, to take those lines out, and they'll be like this to show that they are grouped together. So there should be only one space. Okay, and then what I try to do is do 2 spaces now to separate the next group. So I'll probably be quiet because I'm just kind of reading most of the time, but you got the introduction as to what I'm doing here. If you have a question, just post it. I've got it right here where that black part is. I've got the text that comes up there, so I've got it large, so if you text, it'll bring my eye to that, and I'll get to it after I finish talking. Even if you have a comment later, I will get to that as well. And that's what I do when I'm adding text, so you can see that these text that's in italic right now, I'm showing the editing. Later, when I feel like I'm done, I will make them upright so it doesn't really confuse people a lot. And just like this, maybe I should put a hyphen between, because I haven't done that with forefathers. But because forefathers is mainly there, so I think this is one of the few times that it's a foremother. You will be the first mother of my nation. I like first mother, but I've got the word forefathers connected to like the sons from Israel, who from Jacob. I've got them as forefathers, and I'm trying to make sure that the wording is specifically not being used for 20 different meanings. And by that, I guess I should show you the problem with the Bible that a lot of people don't know, and it usually kind of destroys how everybody thinks every word in the Bible is correct. How come it's not here? Okay, getting closer. I've got to relabel these. How come it's not there? Must be on my desktop. I pulled some out on the desktop. Yep, here it is. I got to put it back in. So let me show you the problem. This old Bible program that does not exist anymore, when I click on the English word, it gives me the Hebrew word. This is the New American Standard Concordance. And what they've done is took Strong's Concordance and used different letters to enable them to get the copyrights. But the program is very dangerous because it tells me how many times this word here was used. Now, when I started showing this on the internet, when YouTube was just brand new, and I had to get a hold of this company I registered the copyrights to showing that there are hidden poetry-like formats in the Hebrew side. And my copyright lawyer, after we got it approved, I'm in the Library of Congress, I had to send them a registered letter. And then they came and probably looked at what I was doing, and like I was showing this has been used for a very long time, probably over 30 years now. So this is what happens, because see, if I click on the word so, there is a Hebrew word, but here they're using it 7 times. And then we have these other words that are being used that just don't make any sense. How did they come up with those words? And then to show you how nasty it can get, look at all the different words they used for just this one word. And actually, this is Nathan. We used Nathan as a name for the prophet at David's time. And it's very important to know David, or Nathan, because he is the prophet that told David, through his son's seed shall come a king, and our Creator will give him a kingdom in heaven. That verse is the only verse in the text that tells us why we will be able to enter into heaven. Or at least probably a little less than 40% of us, the way I see the world right now. But you can see that all these words with underline and red just don't fit with what the description says to give or put or set. And it's just ridiculous. To show you how bad it can get from time to time. Now I got to go back to where I was at. That if I change this word in Exodus 26, verse 26, from bars to arches, we now have a roof for the tent. Well, I took too much out of here. Here, the word doth is here, and yet it's used for a male's name once. Desert becomes a man's name 4 times. A boy actually become a girl, used as for a girl. So that's the problem. And a servant, it should have been male servants like they had here, but they don't tell you that. They just say servants. So they should have been adding more into the text, but there's so much, whoops, I want to cancel this, problems with the Hebrew. I just done a video on that. Example, Eve. You know they have 2 names for Eve? Yep. 2 times I used the Hebrew word for Eve, her name, and 4 times I used it as the word town. So Eve her name could have been town. But that's just the corruption of the text. You can't go backwards. So, okay, I'll just go on here. And they're kings and people. Now you notice how our Creator is calling it my nation. And later, a lot of times in the text, the Israelis are the good guys. They're the obedient. But the Israelis that fell away and left our Creator, I call them Jews in the text. So a lot of times some of these writers will use blame it on our creator. You created the nation, why everybody's attacking us, so save your nation. So but by the way, this is only page 7 of 244 pages, and this is only the from the Hebrew text. So these pages are 22 inches long. It saves me from having to look at this line. If I could make the pages 100, I would. Abraham asked, how can a son be born from Sarah? For Sarah is too old. She is 6 years old. They wrote back then, I'm making sure the text goes back to the way they would write back then. They didn't have a large vocabulary. They really didn't need an existence to say 96, 97, things like that. So they wrote it in 2 ways. They would write 10 or 6 tens would be 6 years old, or they would write 10 and 2 to mean 12 years old. Or if that was, let's say 64, I would say 6 tens and 4. By the way, there was no lettering for these symbols, I would say, that we have today for numbers. So there is no such thing as 666 as being the mark of the beast. Okay. I've changed his name to Yvie, and that's because, let's see, here Strong's use these 4 letters, but when you talk to a Hebrew teacher, they'll tell you a lot of times the H on the end is silent. So that's why you would have these 2 names, but they didn't have an O. Okay. O was not in their language, a J wasn't, or a W wasn't. So anybody spelling our Creator's name with those letters are wrong. So this would be closest, could be, to his name that we could come up with. And actually, if you pronounce just these 2 letters as the way Hebrews would, I better check, but I think, because I haven't done it in probably 20 years, but I think it's Yava, so you can see Yava here. So that's why I use just 2 letters, and I do say Yvie a lot. So I'm trying to make sure everybody now, we have a name for our Creator. Yvie said, Sarah, your wife, will bear you a son, and you will name him Isaac, and I will establish my promise with him for my everlasting promises to his. And Ishmael will be blessed. For Ishmael I will bless him and multiply his descendants to make him great. And when he finished talking with Abraham, Yvie ascended. Okay, real good. This is Psalms 48, and it's actually Psalms 48 can be put into 2 because they don't make sense if you put it all together when you have the hidden formats revealed. And here is when I'm editing it finally for the last time and getting rid of some things, and that's why I don't have to really explain it, because the people will now be able to read it and understand what the second heaven is. And that is, he ascended to his heavenly mountain. This is the second heaven, okay? that is the form that is formed by motion. The star's motion makes the North Star the peak of the mountain, okay? This they knew. Greeks weren't around, or even a city established until, I think, 700 BC, and probably within 100 years after, they started being able to write, and they would use this mountain by our Creator as Mount Olympus. Other Asian world would just call that the North Star looking down on Earth. They would call it God's eye view. But this is what I've got here to clean this all up to His heavenly mountain that is formed by motion of the stars as His mountain. And I got rid of the word Zion as the far north. The stars as His mountain as the far north. This is definitely the North Star, but you get that when you read it. Then he took Ishmael and circumcised his foreskin as wife he commanded him. Now it seems like I just added this text here. So there are two groups. So I can now get rid of this. But now you know where Moses raised his staff to ask our Creator for His plague, and Jesus looked to heaven to ask for a blessing to feed the people. So these things become very now visible as understanding the verses more and more in depth when you learn all these things, that because this text is only found in the New American Standard, by the way. Okay, 2 spaces. All right, now this is starting to change subjects, and I've done this before where, because the text is so long, it's probably going to get close to 300 pages when I add Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, combine them together, that it'll probably be over 300 pages because, or when I did this before, Microsoft has a problem. They run out of how many chapters you can actually put in the text, and that's because I don't think anybody was able or does so much changing chapters, because what I'm doing is putting what you can find in that text as the chapter, and then this time, because I know I'm going to run out of them, I'm trying to combine them as much as possible, so that I'm starting to make them into subjects that, okay, Sodom is going to be burned, but in this story, our Creator is going to tell them about His Son. So that's pretty important. Anything that's important, I'm putting here. So what, like right here, I've got a second heaven. So if I take this text, because I want it in part of the, right here, put a comma, and then that text will now show up as all one, I guess I can get rid of this, as all one chapter. When you look through the table of contents, they're going to be extra long, but this is the only way I know that I can continue to have the text with all the chapters that I'm putting in. And I learned that, so that's this time around I am more prepared for that. I have the day will turn into the word noon later. So I'm going to change it to noon here. This is like, because I've done this so many times. Now these are my final, hopefully my final best edits. Hopefully as people go through my videos explaining how I broke down everything. The example, if I show you this and show you how much I had to take out of the text, my videos I'm going through and editing every verse and speaking why I'm changing it, why I'm getting rid of it. And then you can see these words do appear as a format, and the story continues, and you can get rid of this. Example here, it says evening and morning, first day. Well, actually, night and day light is a day the way our Creator describes it. So I'd get rid of this text by knowing the definition our Creator gave. And you can see later, I would edit it like this. That would probably be in the second group, because going through it I didn't do as well. Because there's so much confusion going on in the text. So, but it finally got down to this text, and now I want to make sure that there's not two words for the word noon. Okay, not the high of the day, but noon of daylight. At noon, at the noon of daylight, at noon of daylight, as he was sitting by his tent at the noon of daylight. Okay. A lot of times when I correct it, I skip by and don't edit it all the way through. So that's why I had to read that a few times, make sure that when I get it cleaned up, it'll read that way, the way I want it to. Now, when it comes to reading these, this is the 4-verse format where these two make a verse, and then these two make a verse. It depends on how well the writer writes these. Some of these become absolutely stunning because they'll have a rhythmic writing when they do this. But when you read these, I call it read tasting, and you'll see that the difference in the way a writer writes this, because a lot of times these would probably be broke into a different psalm, but it's depending on the writer and what he's writing. So that's a good hint because I'm not going to go through the text in my lifetime to say this is definitely a different style than this writer. That's for the people that study the text later and want to actually uh, be helpful to others. And Abraham hurried to Sarah's tent and said, "Quickly make him bread." And they did sleep in separate tents. And a lot of times, a lot of people don't know that. I can remember my grandparents always slept in two different beds. It's only been since maybe the 30s and 40s that, the way I understand it, that married couples would sleep together in one bed. But it goes back to all the way back to the text here that I learned that they had different tents set up, even for their daughters and sons, after they would become like a little older to where they would have to be in their own tent. And then they would also have tents set up for visitors or relatives. When they come over, they would have tents set up for them. They'd be larger, and they would be, everybody in the family would sleep in one. So we learned that when Abraham had sent his servant to find Isaac, to receive a wife from Shem's descendants. So you notice how they have two separate here where these can't be. And a lot of times I'm noting that by putting in something other than a comma. But this is more rare than you think it is. So when you see a sentence like this, you can see that the writer needed to have it as short as possible. Remember, back then they didn't really have paper yet. They were writing on hides, so that's why they would roll up their hides and store them. But the object is that these hides had to be wrote in columns, and then actually they would go from a 4-verse to a 3-verse to then switch the story when you're reading it. That's how you can tell better writers later in the text as well. I need a comma here. Oops. I see I got the wrong size here. But I need it here as well. Let me put that over here on my cheat sheets, because I am doing that more and more often here. So I'm going to do it with a period, and then we should make these through to 5 point. Save that. Now, I don't know if he's named him Isaac yet, or tell him he will become Isaac. So I have to look that up, because if this is the first time his name's being mentioned, and I want to search up, and I want whole words. I want to find. No, that is it. This it might need a note. Um, Name him Isaac. Okay, because that's very important for those that do a lot of searching, because I know that the text is going to be talking about him again. Let me go down and see what happens here. See, Abram named his son Isaac. And it doesn't say that our Creator told him his name. So, up here, because I needed to fill in a word here, you will have a son. And I had to add these in here. Yeah, because I've got to tie it to here, and I can't think of anything like name him Isaac. And I think this is the best way to say this. So I know our Creator told him to call him Ishmael. I'm pretty certain of that. So, a lot to keep in my tiny little head here. Now, this is talking about Jesus again, and I'm not sure if I've got them all red lettered. Yes, this is about Jesus, definitely. So it's all prophecy, and the earth will be blessed. Everyone in the kingdoms on earth will be blessed. So, and by the way, those people that are using the word blessed to bless somebody, you can't do that. Blessing is only how the word should be used, that our Creator rewards you for being obedient to our Creator. So the word bless has got a different definition now, because the way the words are wrote, you can get a lot of the definitions or learn them by going and looking at all the verses together. I got a good example on that, and that would be how Jesus teaches you, or teaches me, what a Pharisee is. he describes the Pharisees as them who have seated themselves in the chair of Moses. Moses was a judge. Moses was not a Pharisee. And then they love to sit in the front seat of the synagogue. Well, if they're an off sect, they sure wouldn't be sitting at the front, which usually is showed status at this time. I don't go to church. I don't know what goes on today. Sarah was listening in her tent, and she was old, for she had passed childbearing. I don't think I need to. Sometimes I've already got the dictionary set that I need this word. It has to be one word. So this is one, this is two. In these formats, you'll see two major words in each one, and then they're connected with the least amount of small words. Should have mentioned that when I pointed out the, how I found these formats. Well, I have the joy. Could I use the word childbearing? I think because she's being told she's going to have a son, I should leave it this way. A lot of people would complain that this is a major word with here, here, and here. But you got to have her joy for her, because she was probably being, trying to use the word, dishonored and disrespected because she hadn't had a child. So, and it all depends on our creator. It's not your fault, plain and simple. Notice how the switching of subjects, this is where another writer would have wrote this 1 and 3 and 1 and 4, but here it's switching. So, but it reads like it's the same writer because this is all the same event. What I am about. Yeah, what I'm about, the word to do would normally flip it here, but the writer has to use it here. To do to them in Sodom, for they are crying out from Sodom of their great evilness. Now, this doesn't sound right to me. Because if they're all evil, why are they crying out? For they are evil. If I put there is evilness, that doesn't. For they are crying out around Sodom. They are crying out to me of Sodom. They can't be crying out from Sodom. They enjoy their evilness. For they are. I can't put there is a crying out of Sodom. For they are crying out to me of Solomon or Sodom. I think that's the best way I can actually put the text. Got to remember this 3,000 years ago, so they didn't have a lot of words that we would use normally today. And I can't use the word about because I've got that up here. What I'm about to do to them in Sodom for many are crying out to me of them and of their evil and of their evil. I'm thinking I like it written that way. And since I'm adding the word, I use gray text. Oops, I also put it in yellow. For many are crying out to me of them. Of them and of their great evilness. Okay, now Sodom seems to be a large city, and when you've seen me throw up the map, we can go back and find it here. That's why I've got it, these roads as they are. This is the major highway that's going to go all the way straight down the center of Israel, or the promised land. And then the traders and people would be stopping by the city. And that's would be the crying out by everybody about Sodom, how bad they are. So, what I'm about to do to them in Sodom, for many are crying out to me of them and of their great evilness. I will go and see if they have done according to their outcry. According to their outcry. must be in them. And then I will kill them all. The word will you sweep away the good with the wicked. Will you reject? I guess sweep away. I can't come up with a better two words to go here. And the way I'm noting these, I got to take another look at. I'm gonna change the word then to win. It just reads that way. As the sun rose was when Wivey rained on Solomon charcoal with fire. This is why, so it had to be, he had to be able to see this, is what this is saying. As the sun rose was when Wivey rained on Sodom charcoal and fire, for Adam had rose early in the morning and looked to Sodom. Yeah, the smoke rising would have drawn his attention. As he looked to Sodom, smoke was rising from it. I like that. Of course, I like everything I do sometimes. Okay, now I'm going to use this. The next time I'm going to go through, I'm going to clean it up. But right now, I got to make sure I've got all these labeled because I'm trying to be able to let people go forward and backwards to see my editing. And the subject is still about Isaac. So I don't want the women to be mad at me for not including them here. So see, this is how the writer would change from 4 verse to 3 verse. Oh, what is here? Ishmael sent away. Well, and especially because our creator is going to talk to them, so I don't know if that's in this group here or not. Yeah, I only need this. Okay, I didn't read far enough. And see, notice how it switched back and forth. So you can tell all one writer wrote this area here. This is what's neat about read tasting the text. So this is a law. Not a guidance. No, it's a promise. I think the better word would be call. This is important because our Creator doesn't talk to many women. This should be noted. And I want that to be able to because when women are studying the text to explain to their daughters, this needs to be this will be something they need to be able to quickly find the reference to this story. Yeah, this will be a separate, but I just want to make sure that this is. Now I got to make a note here. And that was his promise to Isaac. So I just want to make sure I got the word promise when he talked about Isaac or Ishmael. Here is that he'll name him Isaac. Okay. Now this is going to be, he actually marries or gives his daughter, it doesn't talk about his sons to be descendants as make them great. At that time, male seed was visible, so they always kept track of males and where the women were born. So this would be Ishmael's daughter marries um, Esau, who later creates Edom. But we don't have anything other than to tie him in with Esau. Because his daughter would be the foremother of Esau's children. They become a nation, and they live as a nation separate from the promised land for probably 600 years. So this is making him great. Make his, well, I don't have descendants. And I'm saying they got sons and daughters from him. And Esau's sons would married with Ishmael, Esau's sons. So this is where Esau was going to get his, for his daughters to be married with his sons. But when we go through the list of Esau's, I got to make sure Esau has daughters in the text. So, what's that? I don't like the word archer. I like the word hunter. And that still, because if you live in the forest, there's a lot of game that he could be selling, trapping the furs. And so that's what he was doing for an income. That's the only way I can see it to be better than archers. Yeah, the word sacrifice I have to use here. Why do I have hillist top? I guess I did this wrong. That just doesn't make sense. And you know, I probably read that probably 4 times, and I just probably put it in my head that it was saying highest top, or the hills top, but it's actually meaning the highest. That at their time, that was where they considered being closer to our Creator. And since I'm going to designate where Abraham is at, or live near or by, they're going to know that within this area that he's going to go to. Now, they probably didn't have roads to everything, so that's why it's going to take them a while to get there. I think I got the next day, because you can travel easily 10 miles. Now, Abraham is older. That's why it's late morning. He saddles his donkeys. So this hill has to be close by. And people are going to be able to say, that's the hill. Pretty sure the hill sizes haven't changed in Israel. Ten miles. And we know he's not going to cross the Jordan, because there's a mount here. This mount is like elevation, got to be more than 5,000 feet, and the highest hill is at 2,000 feet. So he wouldn't say go to the mount. It wouldn't take him long to see it. So, okay, he's in here. So, I'm just trying to say that it has to be within here. And on the map, I should note that somewhere here, because I'm going to put Noah or Abraham probably up in here. Because Isaac's going to send Jacob on this road to go up here, and Jacob actually going to take a shortcut coming back, so it saves them all this. because Lot went east. So Lot's going to live down in here. Abraham's going to live here. And he's got to be able to see the smoke rising. So these hills got to be as high as these hills. And he would have known. So Abraham's got to be living somewhere in here. And he starts out late. And says it's got to be someplace up in here. The next day he had to find an area. He probably was going up the hills to find the highest in this area. And it could be all the way up to here. Or he traveled here and traveled the lowest land. Probably got out here, seen it. By here open, that he would know where is what. And you can usually see on a flat distance without anything in your way 17 miles if it's completely flat. I grew up I spent a lot of times in the woods when I was young. And you had to be in an open field to see as far as you could see. So that makes sense that this flatter land would be grassland at that time. It's just curious for me to know. So when I'm making the maps, I know. It's actually geographic. This is where I've got him living right now. That's not much of a map. Oh, here's what I was hoping to find. So if he's up in here, yeah, he's at this mount. But he's 10 miles away from 20 miles away. So 20 miles, I don't have a map, so now we know it's not in the area where I'm at. It's here. I need to make a screenshot of this. And that way, so he went into Canaan's land. 15 kilometers, okay. 55 kilometers. And I never knew that's how jagged the Jordan River is. I've got it pretty much a straight line. Okay, so that means when I'm making my map, oh, he went into Japheth's land. So he had to travel this road. So I need a bigger, oops, I'm too far away from that one. Guess the best one I've got is here. And I've got him living here, and no, here. Got him living here, so he's down in here. Find the highest hill. That's interesting how the text actually can be reasoned out here. Oops. This has to be mapped. I thought this one did better. Oh, That's almost at the Dead Sea. This is almost the middle of this. Their location of Shechem is wrong, by the way. Shiloh wasn't there. They've got these in the wrong locations, according to the text. Shechem has to be next to a limestone quarry because their workload was too heavy for them and they wanted it lightened up. So, what I'm seeing here is this would be the hill that Noah went to, or Abraham went to. And here, I don't know what they have as the green line, but this river comes this way. I think there's another river that's covered up. So halfway, right in here. Okay, well, maybe he stayed and he is there. I've got to do some searching because it's like he's got to go out and then turn around to see which one it is. Although he would know at that time. I got these rivers by overlaying a map of Israel today on top of this map that they allow you to make maps from. And in a organization that does this, gives us without the cities and an idea. I wonder if they've updated their stuff in the last 15 years. I should check because I got to remake the maps, some of them. These are the two. No, come on, what's going on here? Okay, now I've got it. Well, I've got this. I should have marked this. I haven't used, I know that this browser, a lot of people don't use this browser, but I do because it doesn't track me. So, no, that's halfway. Yakatan is here. This one I don't think I have named. Yeah, see, it's going to be in here. And I had Abraham living here. So he's got to be coming over here. It's just good to know before everybody else. Man, it doesn't leave up by tabs. Okay, well, that's enough studying of that, but I got the idea. So now the text has got to reflect that. He didn't see it from a distance. A distance is like, well, being that's hill country, you aren't going to be able to see much unless you get on top of one. But he would know the layout land. He walked the land. So does the word distance need to be, he saw the highest hill close, was close. That would be a distance. The next day, Abraham saw and since he's there, the word next is wrong. So this would be like at noonday, is what I'm seeing. Or by evening daylight. That's why I looked at that map so seriously. Get the text as accurate as possible. Yeah, that reads. Oh, yeah. You've probably, if you're watching the video and you made it this far and you see me go through all that map, just for those words right there, and you probably are like, get over this already. Patience, patience. Oh, brother was supposed to text me. Boy, he answered me about the time I started streaming. Okay. Because let me see what the day is. Okay. Now, if he answers me, we've got to take off and do some running around. Depends on how he answers me. I can't get over. I missed that hill list. I know. I read fast, and I know that I skipped right over that, putting it in my head. That's to me, that's funny. But here you guys say, I'm trusting this guy to edit the text. He probably read that probably 30 times. Offer is a better word than worship. Worship, you bow to our Creator or kneel to our Creator. But to offer, whoops, this word is within the shadow of the word worship right now. It's not quite where I'd say I'm adding it completely. I'm replacing it, but it's what I call within the shadow of this word. Because what they did, I'm not sure how they've done this. This seems to be the whole offer, whole sacrifice as an offering. Yeah, I don't think I'm using the word offer only, but just this way in the text. And Abraham gathered. Let's see how close that is to that word. So I'm saying I'm just changing that out. And it's so close it should be this word. Now this is that they're camped somewhere, but not where they're going to be walking. They got to be in a forest, not on the road, because they're going to gather wood. Anything along the side of the road would have been picked up and used by the travelers for the last probably 300 years. Campers would try to keep the animals away with fire, so they would have built more fires than just one, by the way. The word offering is wrong here. Where is the ram? Okay. He would be asking it as a ram. Abraham's saying it's a young lamb. Now, a young lamb, this is the story about the peace offering. In the text, yeah, I've got peace offering here. Okay, the word lamb is here. Okay. Because this I need to make as a special note, so I'll do it right now. Okay. I didn't have a better word than altar, but actually I should put this as an image here to make sure people don't come up with their own idea as to what it looks like. It's just going to be rocks that he's picked up to make a square, like, it doesn't need to be high, but it just needs to be square and enough for him to stack. Because he's got to arrange the wood on top. Boy, this altar is actually very large. And the wood pile on top of it's going to be something. And actually, it's going to need a post in there. It's going to need a post to be able to hang. Wow, I've never really thought about this much. And this image of this altar, because if you just put the wood out there and you don't have the meat hanging over it for the offering, then it's not going to be burnt to a crisp. I better make that in my note inside the notes. Okay, and bound his son and laid him on the altar. And can't lay him on the altar because the altar is the stone, the wood's there. So, top of the wood. Bound his son. Is there a clue in this word? And he bound his son. And hung and hung him on the pole. If it's a tree and not a pole, Tree is green, it won't burn. And he built a stone altar and arranged the wood. Then he bound his son and hung him on the tree above the wood. So he's got to have a tree, the stones that he's going to do is to give the air to the wood underneath so it goes up in flame. So the wood, you first put down kindling, then you put down medium-sized sticks that would be easily there, and then you build them up to bigger sticks, and then the wood. So the wood that they're carrying, kindling, did I spell that? Yeah. And this you need to be able to use the flintstone to start it off. So now that this word is more correct. Whoops, I want this. Now I want this word. I carried it, okay. And that wouldn't be heavy. It would be for younger to be able to carry. So that now makes sense. It has to be stone. I can't get that word out of there. And arranged the wood. Then he bound his son and hung him on the tree above the wood. Can you imagine what was going through both of their minds? That is just. Then Abraham took the knife to kill his son. The wife he called to him in heaven. From heaven he said, Abraham, Abraham, do not kill him, for now I know this is Jesus again. This guidance I've already got. When I did it, I didn't realize it. To be obedient to our Creator, that guidance is with Cain. And I don't want to guidance it to death. If I got one to obey our Creator, then that's enough. And I've got it tied to a real important one, by the way, that needs to be taught. And whoops, let's see how my brother answered me. Now, our Creator probably put that lamb there, by the way. That Abram saw. Like, so how can I put that into the text that our Creator placed the lamb? I can take this word, put it here, and say I'm getting the major word here, and I'm replacing here. Abraham then. Nope. Nope. I went wrong. Abraham saw a lamb here caught in the thicket because you obeyed me. I guess I need the word then there. Then Abraham saw a lamb appear caught and caught in the thicket. Because it has to be, Abraham told him that he will provide. So I have to make sure that that's there in the text. Yes, it is a peace offering. This is where the peace offering begins. Because a peace offering later, when it comes up, is that after war, then they offer a peace offering that everything is calmed down. And usually that's done by the king or the judge at that time, judge or king. I got to put more than just those two together. Let me go down here, the end. Yeah. Then this would be a good place to start the second group. because this would tie up two of these together. Got to get rid of one word. Need to put an image here. I think I'm going to leave both words there. Who and whom I use a lot of times as not an important word. Abraham must have been pretty old for him to ask him this question. I guess that question would be asked if she accepts, but I'm not leaving. How am I to answer that? Okay. Now this is new in the text. Um, what I'm going to do is, because if I do 1AA, and if I do the ones that I know there's going to be more of as A1, A2, A3, that would be easier to find. So this is really going to be the first note to go back and forth. Because I can bookmark, I need to go back and forth. So I need to actually put 2 of them here. So this would be the major one. So this would be AA. And then this would be returning. Okay. Oops. Over here. And then to go back to the major one, do this. And I got a note that I've already used 1. The next one will be B. So, whoops, and I used it the other way. So that's the first bookmark, and I'll probably have to change it because someplace above there I'll probably end up changing that, but it's a start. I've been marking angels as green. Well, I'm hoping that however this book actually gets, I'm going to try to uh, have enough money to take the text and put it in like an iPad, but just itself as the reader. Can't add to it, you can't take away from it. Should be able to add your notes to it, stuff like that. But I'm just thinking, although this is our creator's angel, so our creator's possession should be this way. That's the way I've noted them before. Will be before you, and you will receive a wife for my son from there. But if the female is not going to follow you, asking is petitioning. I'm trying to make sure that when you're talking to our creator, you're just not asking. Asking is used from one person to another. Petitioning is like asking our creator something, like the word pray means to talk to our creator. So that's the way I've got the words defined. The bucket would have been something that wheeled up. So this well could make a movie as descriptive as this is. Change one petition. I don't think I need an image here. Man, sun's shining. I got rain clouds, and in this place where I'm living, the internet it just might shut down. So it just happens. Living in a village where there are only mobile homes from the 60s. Mine's a 64. Nice, still clean, but everything around here is ancient. And when we had the hurricane go through a few years ago, we were the last ones to get our electricity turned on. They were more considered because that's how small the section is. They were worried about getting, hundreds on a net. A few hundred of us, if that, maybe 100. Well, this is the first time Talents has speaking of, it's mentioned. And that's a lot of money. Talents. Talents are big pieces. I wouldn't say they're even this large. I'd say they're like this. But that's a lot because you get to break them up and you get to weigh them out. And then you would just say how you want to break them up. So they're not going to be thick. They're going to be thin enough to shape themselves. You'd probably just take a knife and hammer and cut it. Cut it up. But talents, silver and gold for them. But he was wealthy, so he could do. Now, this is cool because this is how this writer ties the two. He didn't make them separate. He just kept saying, because this is going to be a different story. And it's not a 3 to a 4 verse. It's a 3 verse, and he put it together like this. Which means if I make this a 2-hour, no, still hasn't. Oh, I gotta do this. And gotta eat here pretty soon. If I knew his name, I would have put it in here. Come and he went to meet, or he met with, I would have put his name here. So why don't I? He looked and saw was returning. returning. He looked and saw, returning to meet them. If he's Abraham's servant, he's going to also be Isaac's servant. So I'm going to put his servant as well. You don't, I'm just trying to put order to that. Why couldn't I put his name here? And when I was thinking about that, I said it has to be Isaac's servant. And his servant told Isaac everything and everything he had done for his father. Okay. Now that was an awfully long story. And yeah, I wanted to divide this, I believe. Isaac cave. This is still related to Isaac, but it's separate. So it's got to be a different grouping of words here, another chapter. Now his possession, so, and Ishmael is now living by him, or near enough to him. And this his would be his possession. Okay, so the word his is okay. Okay, that's there as well. He will be ruled by his brother. Yes, because the prophecy or the blessing that's being passed down from father to the eldest son is the blessing from our Creator, is making him the head of family decisions. But Esau gets tired of that and he takes off. I've got him as a farmer because he's got to be the hunter. Yes, they had inherited herds. They had He had them as servants taken over from Abraham's time because of his wealth. They were his herders. He can't be called a lord. I need to look through the text here real quick to see what Jacob calls him, Isaac calls him. Go to the flock. Yeah, I think I've been using them as numerical. One is like one person. I want to make sure that do two different searches because this is easy on a number to not mean one word means the same thing two different ways. So it has to be like this. One day when Jacob had cooked stew, one day Jacob had cooked a stew, had boiled a stew, cooked or boiled. I'm going to put it made. I think prepared because I got to include that bread. Believe it or not, I'm worried about this bread that he just got here. His bread and stew, so that's why I need the word prepared. Okay, now this is still part of this story, so this is all gonna go up. Oh, I already got it. Sold for birthright. No, that's not right. You should see some of these. I got like 3 or 4 lines in the group. So when I'm doing the Psalms, they're so short. Come on, brother. I want to take off and do that errand. I tried to search ancient bows and stuff like that. I don't think I'm going to have that image made. Um, no, I am going to have that image made. I'm not sure 12-year-olds today in the inner city, even around the world, would know what this quiver means. So if I give them an image, they'll understand because they'll see the arrows, they'll know the arrows, but what is a quiver? Okay, all you vegetarians, just read that right there. Anyways. I gotta use the word now. It's better than the word and. I guess I gotta get rid of the word and just leave it that way. I use the word promise because part of his blessing is about becoming a great nation. So I want to make sure that that's included. And actually, this promise has Jesus included in it. So when I'm looking for text that refers to Jesus, I put it in red. I gotta see how big this file is getting. Sorry about that. I just realized that. It's not giving me how many gigabytes. This is 3 hours. It's gonna be huge on my computer. Well, I'm gonna. I guess it doesn't matter. I'm gonna. I don't know if I should be archiving this because it'd be easier to go over all the changes because I haven't. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's gonna be a throwaway video or just have it up there, but into I don't like using the word curse there. This has to be better than a curse. And it's not just going to be bringing wrath on them or anger at them. Now, he doesn't know this, but the writer knows the story. So, and that was when Rebecca petitioned our Creator, and our Creator replied to her about the younger will rule over the older. So this is a very true statement, but it's got to be written in a way that Jacob wouldn't know this, but the writer would. That's kind of clever. Oh, that writer did this. That's kind of neat. I'm thinking all the time. I've been doing this for so long, and now that I'm getting down to the final text, I'm really getting very pleased by all the extra little thoughts I'm having. Okay, I gotta feed the birds. He's finding a few. I haven't had a bird all day, and I knew that was there, but I was hoping I wasn't going to get any birds, and then I know they're out of food. Then I don't feed them for a day. But I've got a plank of wood, like a shelf outside my double windows here. So I get to see the squirrels and birds. I think I need this. It's like forever and ever type of thing. This is the master of your brothers. Brothers being his family and descendants. Now, this story about going to Laban is going to be quite long. I think they are. I think this doesn't need to be noted here. I was just saying that that's the same prophecy that's been repeated. Hopefully, the reader finally gets it pegged into his head. Don't need to. I don't think I need to mention it every time. Okay. If I could come up with a better than receive, I could. I would put it in there. This is the prophecy of Jesus. Every race on earth will be blessed. So this is a lot of prophecy in it, but this is specifically all about Jesus. So that's why you see some colored and some half colored. This is Abraham, by the way. I have, so this I'm adding, this I'm going to get rid of. Now see, this needs to be tied, so it's going to be, well, this is going to be small first, then 1. Oops, it's going to be, yes, this is going to be before that other one, so this one is going to be 1AA. No, this is 1. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop here. This has been long enough, 3.5 hours.